First contact. The vast emptiness of space stretched before the Galactic Coalition exploration vessel Eternal Harmony as it glided through the uncharted regions at the edge of known space. The ship's crystalline hull captured and refracted starlight, creating cascades of color that rippled across its surface, a testament to the artistic sensibilities of the Coalition's architects. High Admiral Zillith stood on the observation deck, her iridescent scales shifting from azure to violet as she gazed at the starfield before her. The Meridians, her species, were the founding members of the Coalition, an alliance of 17 spacefaring civilizations united by their pursuit of knowledge, harmony, and peaceful coexistence. Admiral, came the melodic voice of Navigation Officer Trell, his tentacles gently manipulating the bioorganic control interface. Sensors have detected an anomaly at coordinates 73.26 by 118.59. Zillith's head crest rose in curiosity. Specification: unknown, Admiral. It appears to be a vessel, but of unfamiliar design. Trell's compound eyes blinked in sequence. Energy readings are fluctuating. It may be damage. This was unusual. The Coalition's database included detailed specifications of all known vessels from member species. An unidentified ship could mean a new civilization making its first ventures into interstellar space, a momentous occasion deserving of a proper welcome. Approach with caution. Activate translation matrices and prepare greeting protocols, Zillith ordered, her four-fingered hand brushing over the communication panel. Inform the xenobiological team to prepare for potential first contact. The Eternal Harmony altered course, its propulsion system leaving only the faintest energy signature as it glided toward the coordinates. On the main viewer, the unknown vessel gradually came into focus, and Zillith felt her scales involuntarily flush with alarmed crimson. The ship was unlike anything in Coalition records. Where Coalition vessels were organic and flowing in design, this ship was angular and utilitarian. Its hull was dark gray with red and blue markings that stood out starkly against the blackness of space. Most concerning were the visible signs of damage, scorched sections, and what appeared to be hull breaches that had been hastily sealed. Life signs? Zillith asked, struggling to maintain her composure. Affirmative, responded Science Officer Vereen, her leafy appendages rustling with excitement. Carbon-based, approximately 240 individuals. Internal atmosphere suggests oxygen breathers. Their power signature is unusual, primarily based on controlled fusion, but with elements our sensors cannot identify. They've detected us, Trell announced. The vessel is altering its orientation. I'm detecting energy buildup in multiple sections of their hull. Zillith's crest flattened against her head, a sign of alarm among her kind. Weapons? Possibly, Vereen admitted, though the signatures don't match any known weapon systems. Coalition protocol for unknown species was clear. Establish communication, offer friendship, share knowledge. But something about this vessel triggered a primitive caution in Zillith's mind. Open channels across all common frequencies, she decided. Send standard greeting package. For several tense moments, there was no response. Then the communications array chimed. Incoming transmission, announced Communications Officer Drell. Audio and visual. Their translation algorithm appears to be attempting to interpret our language. On screen, Zillith ordered. The holographic display flickered, and an image formed. The bridge crew collectively drew back. The being on the screen was Beitel with only two eyes set in a flat face. Its body was covered in some kind of synthetic material, dark blue with silver accents and unfamiliar symbols on the shoulders. Its skin was a tan color, and facial features included short, dark fur on the top of its head. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Horizon. The being spoke, its voice translated into the harmonious tones of Coalition speech. We acknowledge your approach. Identify yourselves and state your intentions. Zillith stepped forward, deliberately shifting her scales to a diplomatic violet. I am High Admiral Zillith of the Galactic Coalition exploration vessel Eternal Harmony. We are peaceful explorers charting this region of space. We extend friendship and offer assistance as your vessel appears damaged. The being, Captain Chen, studied her with an intensity that made Zilith uncomfortable. Its face remained largely unexpressive, making its emotional state impossible to read. Peaceful intentions acknowledged, Chen finally responded. We are grateful for your offer of assistance. Our vessel sustained damage during an encounter with a hostile species 3 days ago. We've managed emergency repairs, but our FTL drive remains compromised. Hostile species. The concept seemed foreign to Zilith. In the Coalition's 4 centuries of interstellar exploration, conflicts between civilizations were resolved through negotiation, or, in extreme cases, isolation. The Ravagers, Chen replied, her expression darkening. They've been attacking human outposts for the past 18 months. The Horizon was part of a defensive flotilla protecting a colony when they struck. Science Officer Vereen approached Zilith, speaking quietly. Admiral, scans indicate their vessel is heavily armed. I'm detecting what appear to be multiple weapon emplacements, armored hull plating, and defensive shield generators. Zilith acknowledged this with a subtle crest movement before addressing Chen again. Captain, we have no record of either humans or these Ravagers in our extensive databases. This suggests we have much to learn from each other. Would you accept our assistance with repairs and perhaps engage in cultural exchange? Chen's face moved slightly in what their translation matrix suggested might be a gesture of agreement. We would welcome both assistance and exchange. Admiral, our engineering team can provide specifications for the materials we need. Excellent. While our technical teams collaborate, perhaps we could arrange a meeting between our delegations. Our vessel can accommodate your atmospheric requirements. Acceptable. I'll prepare a delegation. Chen out. As the transmission ended, First Officer Krell approached Zilith. Admiral, is this wise? These humans appear to be a militaristic species. Their vessel is clearly designed for combat, which is precisely why we must engage with them, Zilith replied. The Coalition's mandate is to promote peace and understanding throughout the galaxy. If these humans are involved in an interstellar conflict, perhaps we can help broker a resolution. And if they bring their conflict to our borders, Krell pressed. Zilith's scales shifted to a thoughtful blue. Then it's even more imperative that we understand their capabilities and intentions. 6 hours later, the Coalition delegation waited in the Eternal Harmony's reception chamber, a vast circular room with transparent walls that offered an unobstructed view of the surrounding space. The human ship, the Horizon, hung against the starfield, its damaged sections now being attended to by Coalition repair drones. A soft chime announced the arrival of the human shuttle. Unlike the organic, flowing lines of Coalition vessels, the human craft was angular and functional. It docked with precision, and moments later, 5 humans entered the chamber. Captain Chen led the group, now dressed in what appeared to be a formal uniform, dark blue with silver trim and several metallic objects affixed to the chest that Zilith presumed were symbolic insignia. Behind her came 4 other humans, varying in coloration and physical characteristics, but all wearing similar attire. High Admiral Zilith, Chen said, executing a formal bow. Allow me to introduce my delegation. Commander Jackson, my executive officer. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez, Chief Engineer. Dr. Patel, our science officer. And Lieutenant Wei, Security Chief. Zilith performed the Coalition greeting gesture, a sweeping motion of her upper limbs. Welcome aboard the Eternal Harmony, Captain Chen. I present First Officer Krell, Science Officer Vereen, Cultural Liaison Drell, and Medical Director Norva. As formal introductions concluded, the 2 delegations moved to the central gathering area, where bioadaptive seating had been prepared to accommodate human physiology. Your vessel is quite remarkable, Chen commented, gazing at the living walls that pulsed with bioluminescence. Our scans detected no conventional power systems, yet you maintain faster-than-light capability. The eternal harmony is a synthesis of technologies from multiple coalition species, Xylith explained. Our power is derived from what you might call quantum vacuum manipulation, drawing energy from the fabric of space-time itself. But I'm equally curious about your vessel, Captain. Our scans indicate multiple systems we cannot identify. Chen nodded, a gesture the coalition members were beginning to recognize as affirmative. The Horizon is a Defender-class heavy cruiser, part of Earth's Fifth Fleet. She's designed for deep space patrol and colonial defense. These Ravagers you mentioned. First Officer Krell interjected. What can you tell us about them? A shadow passed over Chen's face. They appeared 18 months ago in the Ta-City system. No communication, no warnings. They simply attacked our research outpost. Since then, they'd struck 12 human colonies. They appear to be silicon-based life forms with technology comparable to our own. All attempts at communication have failed. And your response has been military. Vereen asked, her leaf-like appendages rustling with concern. What alternative would you suggest? Lieutenant Wei asked, his tone suggesting genuine curiosity rather than confrontation. They've shown no interest in diplomacy. In the Coalition's history, Drell explained, conflicts between species have always been resolved through understanding cultural differences. Often, what appears as aggression is merely a misunderstanding of communication methods or territorial boundaries. Chen exchanged glances with her officers before responding. A noble philosophy, and one humanity aspired to as well. But the Ravagers, she hesitated. We've recovered their attack logs from captured vessels. They refer to organic life, not just humans, any carbon-based life, as the infestation. They're not interested in territory or resources. They simply believe we shouldn't exist. A silence fell over the gathering as the coalition members processed this information. The concept of a species dedicated to the eradication of others was almost incomprehensible to them. Perhaps, Xylith finally said, we've been fortunate in our exploration to have encountered only species predisposed to cooperation. But that doesn't mean we cannot help now. The Coalition spans 17 species across over 300 star systems. Our combined scientific knowledge might offer insights into these Ravagers that human science alone has not discovered. And if diplomacy fails, Commander Jackson asked quietly, then we would need to reevaluate our position, Xylith admitted. The Coalition has always valued peace, but not at the cost of extinction. As the meeting continued, Cultural Lays and Drell organized a tour of the eternal harmony for the human delegation. The humans expressed particular interest in the ship's biotechnology, especially the self-healing hull material that Coalition repair drones were now applying to the Horizon's damaged sections. In return, Engineer Rodriguez shared specifications of human propulsion and energy systems, revealing capabilities that both impressed and concerned the Coalition scientists. Human FTL technology was less efficient than Coalition methods, but demonstrated a remarkable adaptability that allowed for rapid course corrections even during faster-than-light travel. A military advantage, Krell noted privately to Xylith. The most revealing moment came during an impromptu demonstration in the ship's central garden chamber. Lieutenant Wei had noticed Security Officer Mren practicing with a Coalition defense staff, a non-lethal device designed to incapacitate aggressive wildlife during planetary exploration. May I? Wei asked, gesturing toward the staff. Mren hesitated but handed over the device. Wei examined it carefully, testing its balance and weight distribution before executing a series of fluid movements that transformed the simple tool into what was unmistakably a weapon. The Coalition observers watched in stunned silence as the human demonstrated combat techniques that had never occurred to them. Impressive, Mren commented when Wei returned the staff. But surely such skills are unnecessary for exploration. Wei's expression was solemn. Where we explore, Lieutenant, we've learned to be prepared for hostility. The universe isn't always welcoming. As the day's exchange concluded and the humans prepared to return to their vessel, Xylith found herself reflecting on the contradictions they presented. These humans built ships designed for battle, trained their crews for combat, and carried weapons as a matter of course, all anathema to coalition philosophy. Yet they also demonstrated curiosity, compassion, and a genuine desire for peaceful coexistence. Captain Chen, Xylith said as they stood in the docking bay, "Your engineers report that with our assistance, the Horizon will be fully operational within 48 hours. I propose that during this time, we continue our cultural exchange. There is much we can learn from each other." Chen nodded, extending her hand in what Xylith had learned was a human gesture of agreement. "I believe you're right, Admiral. And perhaps when repairs are complete, you might consider a diplomatic mission to Earth. I think both our peoples would benefit from formal relations between humanity and your coalition." As they clasped hands, neither could know that their nascent friendship would be tested far sooner than either anticipated, or that the coming challenge would forever change how the coalition viewed humanity's warrior nature. Trial by fire. The next day brought a deepening of understanding between the coalition delegation and the human officers. Medical Director Norva spent hours with Dr. Patel, each fascinated by the other's approach to healing. Coalition medicine focused on enhancing natural recovery processes, while human medicine often involved more interventionist approaches. Reflections, Norva realized, of their respective philosophies. Meanwhile, Engineer Rodriguez worked alongside coalition technicians, implementing a hybrid repair solution for the Horizon's damaged FTL drive. The humans' practical approach to problem-solving impressed even the skeptical First Officer Krell, who grudgingly admitted to Admiral Xylith that the humans showed remarkable ingenuity. "They think differently," Krell observed as they watched Rodriguez improvise a connection between incompatible technologies. "Where we seek harmony with natural principles, they impose their will upon them." "Perhaps," Xylith replied, "but notice how quickly they adapt to new ideas. There's a flexibility in their thinking that we might learn from." By midday, Captain Chen and her executive officer had joined Admiral Xylith in the strategic planning chamber to discuss the Ravager threat in more detail. The holographic display showed known Ravager movements across human space, with predictive models suggesting possible future targets. "Their attack pattern appears random," Chen explained, "but our analysts believe they're systematically testing our defenses, probing for weaknesses." "Have you considered," Xylith began, but was interrupted by a sudden alert tone. "Admiral." Navigation Officer Trull's voice came through the communication system, tension evident even through the translator. "Long-range sensors have detected 3 vessels entering the system. Configuration unknown." Chen's posture instantly changed, her body tensing as she exchanged a look with Commander Jackson. "Ravagers. Sending telemetry to your device," Xylith said, manipulating the holographic controls. Chen studied the data, her expression hardening. "That's them. 3 combat cruisers, heavy configuration. Admiral, your ship is in danger. The Harmony isn't built for combat, is it?" "The Coalition has never needed dedicated warships," Xylith admitted, her scales shifting to an anxious amber. "Our vessels have defensive capabilities against natural hazards, but nothing that would withstand a determined attack. Then we need to move. Now." Chen activated her communication device. "Chen to Horizon. Battle stations. Power up all defense systems and prepare the main batteries. The Eternal Harmony is under our protection." Within minutes, the peaceful scientific exchange had transformed into urgent preparation for conflict. On the Eternal Harmony's bridge, Xylith and her officers watched in fascination and horror as the Horizon, despite its damaged state, underwent a metamorphosis from exploration vessel to war machine. External plating shifted to reveal weapon ports. Energy signatures spiked as defense shields activated. The previously darkened sections of the ship blazed with power as backup systems came online. "Admiral," Captain Chen's voice came through the communication system, "the Horizon will position itself between your vessel and the approaching Ravagers. Your best option is immediate withdrawal. We'll cover your escape." Xylith's crest rose in surprise. "You would defend us? Your ship is still damaged, and you're outnumbered 3-1. That's what we do, Chen replied simply. The Horizon was built for this. Your ship wasn't. First Officer Krell approached Zilith, speaking urgently. Admiral, the captain is right. We should withdraw. The Harmony carries representatives from 12 coalition species. We cannot risk. We cannot abandon them, Zilith interrupted. Not when they're facing danger because of us. Because of us? Krell questioned. The Ravagers were tracking the Horizon, Zilith realized. Our repair drones, our communication with Earth. We made their position easier to detect. We may not be warriors, Krell, but neither are we cowards who flee while others fight our battles. On the main viewer, the approaching Ravager vessels became visible, angular constructs of dark metal and crystalline components that reflected no light. Their design suggested nothing of their creator's appearance or biology, only their apparent purpose. Destruction. Captain Chen, Zilith transmitted. The Eternal Harmony will not withdraw. While we cannot match your combat capabilities, we have other contributions to make. Our sensors can detect fluctuations in the Ravager's shield harmonics. We can coordinate with your targeting systems to maximize weapon effectiveness. There was a moment of silence before Chen responded. Understood, Admiral. Sending targeting frequencies now. Position your vessel behind the Horizon. If our shields fail, you'll need to execute an emergency jump. What followed was a demonstration of warfare unlike anything the Coalition members had ever witnessed. The Horizon, despite operating at reduced capacity, moved with surprising agility for its size. As the Ravager vessels came within range, they launched their first attack, a concentrated energy barrage aimed at the Harmony. The Horizon intercepted the blasts with its shield array, the barrier flaring bright blue under the impact. Then the human vessel responded. Weapon ports glowed with gathered energy before releasing precision beams that struck the lead Ravager ship at exactly the points the Harmony sensors had identified as vulnerable. Direct hit. Lieutenant Wei reported from his position on the Horizon's bridge, now visible on the Harmony's communication screen. Their forward shields are down 30%. The battle unfolded with a terrible beauty. The Ravagers, realizing the threat the Horizon posed, concentrated their attack on the human vessel. The Horizon's shields wavered under the combined assault, sections failing and reforming as power was rerouted from non-essential systems. Their attack pattern is adapting, Science Officer Vereen observed, analyzing the incoming data. They're learning from each engagement, adjusting their approach. So are we, responded Engineer Rodriguez from the Horizon. Reconfiguring shield harmonics now. The Coalition crew watched in awe as the human engineers made real-time adjustments to their defense systems, something Coalition biotechnology would require days to implement. The humans' ability to improvise, to adapt under pressure, was remarkable. But the Ravagers held the advantage of numbers. A coordinated strike from all three vessels overwhelmed the Horizon's starboard shields, and energy blasts carved into the hull, venting atmosphere and debris into space. Damage report, Chen demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos on her bridge. Decks 7 through 9 breached, Wei reported. Emergency bulkheads holding. Weapon control for Battery 2 is offline. On the Harmony's bridge, Admiral Zilith watched the battle with growing distress. We need to do more, she insisted. Trell, bring us closer. Vereen, divert all available power to our sensor arrays. If we can provide more precise targeting data. Admiral. Krell interrupted. One of the Ravager vessels is breaking formation, moving to flank us. The third Ravager cruiser had indeed separated from the attack on the Horizon and was now accelerating toward the Eternal Harmony, a predator that had identified the easier prey. Evasive maneuvers, Zilith ordered, but she knew the Harmony lacked the speed to outrun the approaching threat. What happened next would forever alter the Coalition's understanding of humanity. The Horizon, despite its critical damage, executed a high-energy turn that Coalition physics suggested should have torn the vessel apart. With its remaining engines blazing at what must have been beyond maximum capacity, The human warship inserted itself directly into the path of the Ravager cruiser bearing down on the Harmony. "Captain Chen, what are you doing?" Xylith transmitted, her voice cracking with alarm. "Our job, Admiral," came the calm reply. "Get your people home." The Horizon collided with the Ravager vessel, not accidentally but in a deliberate maneuver that allowed it to bring its remaining weapons to bear at point-blank range. The resulting explosion as human weapon energy met Ravager shields illuminated the battlefield like a newborn star. When the light faded, both vessels had sustained catastrophic damage. The Ravager cruiser drifted, its propulsion systems offline, while the Horizon showed massive breaches across multiple decks. "Life signs," Xylith demanded. "Approximately 100 human life signatures remaining," Vereen reported, her voice hushed. "Many are faint." The two remaining Ravager vessels, perhaps recognizing that victory would now come at too high a cost, began to withdraw, accelerating toward the system's edge. "They're retreating," Trell announced, disbelief evident in his voice. "Not for long," Krell warned. "They'll return with reinforcements." Xylith nodded grimly. "Initiate emergency rescue protocols. I want every surviving human aboard the Harmony within 30 minutes. Prepare medical facilities for trauma care." Hours later, Captain Chen lay in the Harmony's medical bay, her uniform scorched and her face marked with burns that the Coalition healers were carefully treating. Despite her injuries, she insisted on receiving updates on her crew's status. 127 survivors, Admiral Xylith informed her, standing beside the bioregenerative field that accelerated healing. "Your engineering team managed to evacuate most of the critical sections before the worst damage occurred." "And the Horizon?" Chen asked, though her expression suggested she already knew the answer. "Beyond salvage," Xylith admitted. "I'm sorry, Captain." Chen closed her eyes briefly. She was a good ship, did what she was built to do. Xylith's scales shifted to a deep blue of respect and sorrow. "You sacrifice your vessel to protect mine. Why?" Chen's eyes opened, meeting Xylith's gaze directly. "Because that's what we do, Admiral. Humanity learned long ago that the strong must protect those who cannot protect themselves. It's written into our oldest laws, our deepest beliefs. But we were strangers to you," Xylith pressed. "Different species, different values. You had no obligation." "Obligation?" Chen interrupted, a small smile forming despite her pain. "It wasn't about obligation. It was about doing what's right. Your people were in danger. We could help. The equation is that simple." Xylith fell silent, contemplating this philosophy that seemed simultaneously primitive and profound. "Your coalition," Chen continued after a moment, "it functions because all member species share certain values, certain principles that guide your interactions, yes." "Of course," Xylith agreed. "Peaceful cooperation, shared knowledge, mutual respect. Humanity has those too," Chen said. "But we've learned, through our own bloody history, that peace must sometimes be defended. That knowledge must sometimes be protected. That respect must sometimes be demanded. With warships," Krell said from where he stood at the room's entrance. "With whatever tools are necessary," Chen corrected gently. The Horizon was a warship, yes, but her purpose wasn't war, it was protection. 3 days later, as the Eternal Harmony prepared to depart for Coalition space with its human refugees, Admiral Xylith stood before an assembled council of ship's officers, both Coalition and human. The decision facing them was momentous. "The Ravagers will return," Chen stated matter-of-factly. "Not just here, but eventually to Coalition space as well. They see all organic life as a contamination to be eliminated. And you believe war is inevitable?" Vereen asked, her leafy appendages drooping with distress at the concept. "I believe conflict is already here," Chen replied. "The question is whether we face it divided or united." Xylith stepped forward, her scales shimmering with the formal gold pattern of official proclamation. The Coalition was founded on principles of peace and cooperation. For centuries, We've explored the galaxy believing that all sentient life shared our desire for harmony. She paused, looking at each face in the chamber. We were naive. The universe contains threats we never imagined, species that view difference not as something to celebrate but to destroy. The Ravagers are such a threat, not just to humanity, but to all life that doesn't conform to their singular vision. What are you proposing, Admiral? Krell asked, though his tone suggested he already anticipated her answer. A alliance. Humanity brings knowledge of warfare we lack. We bring resources and technology they need. Together, we stand a better chance than either would alone. Discussion erupted among the coalition officers, some supportive, others deeply concerned about aligning with a species so comfortable with military power. Through it all, Captain Chen and her officers remained silent, allowing the coalition members to work through the philosophical crisis this represented. Finally, Zilith raised her hand for silence. I understand the concerns expressed here. Humanity's approach to the galaxy differs from our own in significant ways. They build warships. They train for combat. They prepare for hostility, where we have always expected friendship. Her gaze swept over the human officers. But they also demonstrated something the coalition has always valued: self-sacrifice for the greater good. The crew of the Horizon risked, and many gave, their lives to protect beings they had just met. Not because we could offer them advantage, not because we shared their biology or beliefs, but simply because we were in danger and they could help. She drew herself to her full height, her scales blazing with conviction. If that is not a philosophy compatible with coalition values, then perhaps our values need reconsideration. As the Eternal Harmony set course for Earth, its passengers represented a turning point in galactic history, the beginning of an alliance between the peaceful coalition and humanity's warrior culture. Neither would remain unchanged by the encounter. The coalition would learn that true peace sometimes required the readiness to defend it, while humanity would gain the perspective that military power was a means to an end, not an end in itself. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, the Ravagers regrouped, unaware that their next encounter with humanity would find them facing not an isolated species fighting for survival, but a united front of civilizations determined to protect their collective right to exist in their own diverse ways. The day humans and the coalition joined forces marked the beginning of a new era, one where the galaxy's peaceful explorers and humanity's defenders stood together against those who would deny the right of different forms of life to coexist in a shared cosmos. It was the day the horizon fell, and a greater hope arose from its sacrifice.